Why was no one in the party afraid that Torgal would turn Akashic at the first crystal, Drake's head?
It's ether.
Then we better make this quick.
At this point in the game, we don't know about Torgal being some like fancy frost wolf who can turn into some magical creature and destroy everyone. Like, we don't know that, right?
We don't know he's Fenrir.
Yeah, we don't know he's Fenrir. That's basically it. So even though we don't know that, later after the fact, when we find out about Torgal, it makes sense. Okay, that's obviously why he's not turned Akashic when he goes through all these ether floods, right? But that doesn't explain why Sid, Clive, and Jill weren't like, maybe we shouldn't bring Torgal with us into the crystal ether flood.
Oh, breathe deep of the blessing, my friends. Who said being a dominant doesn't have its benefits?
They never explained that. So I remember when we went into the ether flood at the first crystal, I was actually really concerned for Torgal because we knew that dominants are more resistant to ether floods. But they said nothing about Torgal. In fact, they alluded to the fact that animals and beasts of all kinds are susceptible to ether floods, some more than others. There's some bits in there about chocobos being slightly more resistant because I think they wanted to explain why you could ride your chocobo through an ether flood and not have it change into an Akashic chocobo.
Did you know that chocobos are far more resilient to the effects of ether than most other beasts?
But we know that chocobos also turn Akashic because we fight them in the game, right?
Yeah, I think you just found an inconsistency where the writers knew ahead of time that he was Fenrir, and they just didn't realize where in the timeline this scene dropped.
Yeah.
That's one theory. My other theory is that they were already in too deep, like when the ether flood thing, and they couldn't back out. Like, no matter what, he was going to have to go through it. I don't know. I don't remember the scene itself.
I think he could have just turned around, to be honest.
My guess is it's literally just that the writers, like, they knew, but they didn't think about the order of events.
That's exactly what I think it was. But it was so concerning to me in my first playthrough of the game that I was on the internet trying to find the answer, like, because I was worried that there was going to be a scene where suddenly Torgal dies or something or turns Akashic because nobody thought to be concerned for his safety once they went to the ether flood. And I can't, like, you can't handle, like, okay, you can't kill babies and kids and you can't kill dogs. Like,
right.
That is too much. They already kill way too many people in Final Fantasies as it is. They kill the heroes, which I also don't think they should kill as many heroes as they do, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. So I was actually worried that they were going to kill the dog.
Yeah, so this did not concern me at all. This is the first time I've even thought about it. But I think the reason it didn't concern me at all, and I told you this, the minute I saw Torgal all grown up,
you knew he was Fenrir.
I knew he was Fenrir.
I didn't make that connection.
I think in the back of my mind, I knew he was Fenrir from that point, and it just never crossed my mind that, you know, hey, Fenrir will be fine in this. And of course, they didn't reveal it till later. But I just, like, the minute I saw his face and how big he was, I was like, oh, this is Fenrir. This has to be Fenrir.
How did you connect the dots with Fenrir? Because I know that Fenrir was a summon in Final Fantasy IX. He's a dog, a hound who...
And in 11.
Oh, he's in 11 too. Okay, he's also, he's a mount, and I think also something that you fight in 14, but I have not fought him that I can remember. So it might be some...
It was a combination of the size of him, like compared to a regular dog, like he was massive.
Big.
And then his coloring.
Yeah.
His coloring was like Fenrir, right? So when I saw, like, had he been a black dog, it never would have occurred to me.
Right.
Or a brown dog. But when I saw his coloring and he looked like a wolf and he was huge, I was like, oh, that's Fenrir.
That makes total sense. So here's what the internet tells me. Somebody said the game states that many animals are not affected by ether, the same as humans, citing birds don't ever turn Akashic. I don't remember them saying birds never turn Akashic, but maybe that explains why you see birds flying around everywhere.
Right.
If anybody knows where that point in the game is, please tell me, because I could not find it. Unless they were talking about chocobos.
Well, is it because they can fly above the ether flood? So they...
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
And pretty much every other animal... Any beast turns Akashic. We fight all of them in Akashic forms.
Didn't we fight an Akashic Moorball too?
Yes, right before Drake's breath.
So even that toxic waste dump turned Akashic. So, like, what hope does a bird have?
It's turned.
Nothing a shield of Rosaria can't handle.
Then there were many other comments that state that his powers as a frost wolf would prevent him from turning Akashic. And yes, I agree with that. Like, that explains why he didn't.
But you didn't know it.
But that doesn't explain why Sid and Clive and Jill aren't concerned that he will. So I know it's like seems like a small thing, but it was important enough and jumped out enough at me in the first gameplay that it actually distraught me, and I had to look online to see if he survived for the whole game as a spoiler because I could not handle the dog dying in Final Fantasy.
That totally makes sense, right? If you didn't link him to Fenrir right away, then you wouldn't know, right? And you would think, oh man, this is the end of this dog,
That's
right?
what I was thinking. But you saw ahead.